how would you redesign the periodic table without electron shells?
Oh, that's huge.
A neighbor's choice.
We're back for another program. I'm here with our chief science advisor for A Neighbor's Choice and our physicist, Dr. Yu. How you doing, sir?
Thank you for having me on. I'm doing great. Thank you.
Yeah, great to see you again. I wanted to talk about some of the implications of your theory into a downstream field that I do a lot of programs about with other folks, and we did one recently with a gentleman from Sowing Prosperity. That was a great discussion with him. But, it's the implications of your theory applied to biology and chemistry that I think people are going to be fascinated by because there are implications about, the origins of life, how evolution works within species and adaptations, how chemistry works, the way in which transmutation may be possible, the way in which the phenomena of consciousness can be understood. But first, let's establish the foundations of Uon theory, your theory of everything.
So Uon theory is a physical theory try to explain all the natural phenomena based on one particle, one force, one field, one principle, and in one universe. We do not need a high dimensional or multiverse to explain everything happens now.
Right. Well, very good. So if we're going to start with that foundation, then, what do you think is the main mistake behind the modern model of the electron? Because that is considered to be settled science. When we talked to Brian Greene, the physicist, on our program years ago on radio, he did not want to hear you say that the electron was up for debate. He said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I have to stop the show right now and tell you that this is not something to be questioned. Everybody knows the electron is real, and do not listen to Dr. Yu on this matter, but still you persist in saying the electron is not correct. So why is it? What is the main reason that we should not consider the electron to be, truth?"
Okay, that took years before I finally realized what's truly wrong with physics because we know even Brian Greene himself does not even believe relativity and quantum mechanics in his bottom of heart. So that's why he considered as a one founder of string theory, even wilder. Okay, so whoever come up with the new theory, they totally dismiss everything we taught. Things problem. Okay, he's very smart. I have highly respect to him, but I know if he admit electron is something does not even exist in this universe, I believe that going to impact his livelihood. He earn living by teaching string theory, quantum mechanics. Right? So I fully understand, and he truly believe he was teaching, and I fully understand because before him, since what is it? Since the 19th century, all the problems nobody else has been solved until I was pushed to the corner to try to develop something, and I find the so-called negative charged particle. A particle, physical particle, can only carry one type of charge. I thought this idea is very is a contradiction to every particle also have a magnetic moment. So that's how I find out. Eventually, I found out, oh, so the so-called negative charge contradicting with why you negative charge you have a positive and then both positive and negative magnetic moment, right? Magnetic poles. And turns out, so electron does not exist as a negative charge particle. It's just a little magnet.
So it should be called electron then, right? It should be called something else, maybe?
Exactly. I try to in my book, I'm writing. I try to change the term electron to Uons. The huge difference is whenever you talk about electron, people would automatically think about electron is some particles traveling in the
Yeah.
orbiting the nucleus and traveling in electrical wire as electricity, right? What I find, nothing orbiting, no particle ever orbiting inside of a nucleus, inside the atom orbiting anything. There's no moving parts. And the second thing, for electricity, there is no free electron traveling. So that's why I thought
But
you have to
haven't
graduate it.
they, won't they say, Brian Greene and these folks say that the electron has been well established, it's been demonstrated, it's been seen, it's been observed in scientific studies, it's been demonstrated in the lab, it's been demonstrated through precise mathematical calculation and prediction. The case is pretty closed here, right? That there is a this negative charge particle. So how could you just say because you've made a logical argument, therefore that invalidates the empirical evidence that has allegedly been, behind this electron existing?
Very good questions. I did also a lot of research. Number one, no one ever in this universe, I find out, observed what charge is.
Observe
Number
what is?
what is a charge? What a charge looks like?
Yeah,
What is a charge? No one ever observed anything there. So what they all observe the phenomena, and actually this idea can be easily tested to use a plasma ball. You just take a look at the plasma ball, generate a lot of lights, right? So that means lots of electrons should be like charge repel,
yeah,
should be an entire film spread all over. If you put your hands on top, I believe, David, you interviewed
yeah,
me, what is it, 8 years ago, all right? I put hands on top of plasma ball, all the filaments come together, lined up,
yeah,
one by one. What that means? They are not like charge repel. They have both positive and negative charge, just like an electron, like Uons.
yeah. And so the Uon is it's a rotating into the other pole, right? To be attracted to it, right? Opposite pole.
Oh, Uon just a little magnet. Okay. However, you know why? Magnets has both positive and negative poles, right? We call the north and the south pole. So north actually represents the positive charge or positive. We can one-to-one correspondence. Okay. Yeah. So
Does matter behave distinctly or in different ways depending on if it has a net north charge or a net south charge in its structure?
oh, you are talking about the monocharged called a magnetic monopole.
Yeah.
So far, there's countless people try to search for magnetic monopoles. Just
No,
one.
what I'm talking about here is what you, in keeping with your theory that you don't believe magnetic monopoles exist, but I'm saying that the magnetic uh, dipolar particles or bipolar particles, these positive and negative particles, they can align themselves in different structures
Oh,
molecularly
yes,
to
yes.
create a negative charge, to create a net charge, right? They can be a
Oh,
molecular, they can be aligned to
negative.
have one extra sticking out that makes it a little bit attractive, right?
That's right.
Does it?
Negative. It has a local negative, local positive.
Yeah. Do do
That's right.
do, do materials change their nature based on whether they have a net north or a net south charge? That's what I'm asking. You put little magnets together and then
Yeah.
they have a net north or a net south. Does that change any of their behavior or no?
No,
Just charge.
number you do not change material's structure. Let me tell you, but you do change the orientation.
Okay.
Each individual particle in a material
Yeah.
is a magnet, right?
Yeah.
So they normally aligned naturally, things cancel each other, so do
Yeah.
not have internal stress. When you, however, if you put all the materials, include all the materials we have been observed, they put in the high magnetic field I believe there's one company generated the world's strongest magnetic field in Tampa, Florida. At one time, there's a group of people try to invite me to go there, but I could not go. I really wanted to visit the laboratory. What they have a stronger magnetic field, and if you put all the material inside the magnetic field, you will notice all the material behavior, dipolar magnetic effect. You kind of floating in the air or in the environment.
Yeah. So how do atoms bond if there are no electrons orbiting?
that's that's really good question. That's the theory. Every single chemistry based on that rule. Say, hey, we call it shared electron, right? Or exchanging electron. So that's a different type. So the ionic bond, or this is a covalence bond, share electron. That's a mystery to chemistry too. How could, based on the physics, how could the electron orbit constantly, and then they can share in certain angle and be a stable structure? So they have never been solved. And what I find out, there's totally no so-called free orbiting electron. So they does not have the problem to share electron. So that's a fallacy. That's the mystery, and I think Uon theory can solve it.
So how does it solve it?
Oh, Uon theory say we do not have this called orbiting electron, which is a negative charge. If we share, so how do we share? Negative charge to negative charge, they gonna against each other, right?
Yeah.
So Uon said no. Every single particle is a magnetic particle. You just put a bunch of magnets together, they will stick together. Let me just show you.
Mhm.
So this can be easily to prove. You just put the magnets together, they will form all the shapes.
Yeah.
Only difference by different geometry. Just like say, hey, I have a 4, a 5, so they have a different geometry or this way or that way, and also different number of this proton or neutron. We just say different number of protons. So they're all magnets. So that's why magnetic called a connection is because of alignment of magnetic force.
So how does the magnetic polarity replace the electron sharing in this bonding? How does it stick together?
Oh, because every particle has a magnetic force. Magnetic force has the north and the south. So of course, so if you have a charge, if you have another magnetic ball come in, say, I'm gonna just say, hey, if I have two balls, how they coming? They will align themselves. They can find based on the like pole repel, opposite pole attract. They will find itself called self-balanced location position.
Just for the sake of the audience, they might be saying, okay, this guy's saying everything's a magnet. Okay. So everything's made out of magnets. Can you hold up those two books?
Okay.
Now, how come they don't stick together?
Oh, that's very good questions. That's where come on the majority in our life we do not see magnets, right? Magnets has to special because when everything has a magnetic, it will interact.
Yeah.
Will it have a motion?
Is there any way you can get them to stick together if you change their polarity or anything? Let's see. Can you try?
No.
Let's see it for the visual demonstration for the video audience. Can you see
There's no way. I do not have the power to change this one.
Yeah.
Gravity cannot do it. Only thing we can do is stick in the high strength, high power magnetic field.
Right.
So they will called magnetize them. At that time, they can still. But basically the question is why two books does not stick together.
Yeah.
So now you ask this question is the natural.
What is it? Can you show the magnets again?
Oh, magnets.
Yeah.
You're talking about this magnets?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Those are all magnetized. Yeah.
Yeah, this is our natural magnets. Okay,
Yeah.
even though these are magnetized, but this is a stainless steel ball.
Up a little bit. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. This is a stainless steel ball.
Yeah.
That's not a magnet. However, If I connect, it will be magnetized.
So if you take a magnet ball and a steel ball just by themselves for a second. Can I see it
Okay,
by themselves?
sure.
We see them for the camera. So break them apart. So what is going on at the chemistry level of that steel ball versus the magnetic ball? Why is one kind of in a
Oh,
state of stability? If we had two steel balls, they wouldn't do that. What's going on
yes.
at the chemical level there?
Because naturally, two magnetic particles would be cancel each other because form a neutral particle. That's what the steel ball is. The natural position, you have two magnets, right? The natural position is cancel each other. That's the stable condition. So that's
Why
why
is that the
most,
natural? Why is that the natural position?
oh, because if it's not cancel each other, you will have a stronger magnetic field. What happens to stronger magnetic field? It will be interact with other people too. It will attract something. It will never stop until one day it was called buckled, right? Once long magnets buckled, become the neutral particle because the positive and negative are neutralized. So that's exactly what happens to most of the objects on Earth. They are not magnets. However, you said how this magnet is made, special made under high strong magnetic field, polarize them,
What is
and
going
then
what is going on at the chemical level that makes it polarized?
oh, there's no change to chemical composition whatsoever. It only changing every particles. Chemical level. I mean, we are talking about molecules, right?
Yeah,
Every molecule is a bipolar magnet, only
right,
changing their orientation. Remember,
right. Yeah,
rotation. It does
right,
not change position. Does
right.
not missing electron or does not transmute any parts of the
Yeah.
material.
So what is happening as they approach? What is going to happen right now as they approach closer and
Oh,
closer and closer?
yeah.
What's
You
happening
see,
at
you
the
see.
muon level, subatomic level? What's happening?
I hope you can see, right?
Yeah,
But this is a steel ball, and once they come down,
yeah.
there's a one thing is about the magnetic force. It can send thing
Since
objects over distance.
okay,
That's the signature through actually through a medium magnetic field. I call the Uon field, Uon magnetic field, which is different than people talking about the ether. Yeah, ether is hypothetically something, and it's not like a real substance. So in this case, just Uon fluid, liquid.
does that will that magnet lose its magnetism over time? Right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
What is
because of the
going on there that makes that? Is that a chemical thing?
no.
Hmm.
Just say if you are magnets, you constantly interact with other things, right? When you interact, you would be what happens? You would be very easily to change orientations. So then suddenly it's folded. Okay, then you lost strength. So that's why all the permanent magnets, so-called permanent, still have a lifespan. Yeah.
Now, what is it about the steel balls Uon arrangement that allows it to attract to the magnet, but it can't attract? Look, if you touch it to the book, it won't attract, will it? Can we see it?
Oh, of course, of course. If you two non-magnetized people, so basically two neutral particles does not attract them each other.
Right.
Yeah, you have to have a magnets. Which magnets? When magnets go, what happens? Magnets has a strong magnetic moment, right? Changing the orientation of the particles inside of this non-magnetic ion ball, they call the magnetize. So they're changing their orientation. Every atom between atom has a space in between, right? They
Yeah.
allow them to rotate, right?
Yeah.
So under external magnetic force impact, so the particle can change orientation and be aligned. So then attract.
Yeah.
I hope does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Hopefully to your audience too. Yeah.
How would you redesign? I have some questions I put down here first. How would you redesign the periodic table without electron shells?
Oh, that's huge. Okay. I don't know. I can show you the picture. pictures.
First of all, explain what are electron shells in the current model.
Oh, the current model is based on the quantum mechanics. Say, hey, every atom has an electron orbiting the nucleus, right? Because this electron has to generate a special called the light spectrum. So we see light if you see hydrogen atom under oscillation and external excitation, you will display different light spectrum, have a spectral line, discrete line. So in order to explain how this different line, discrete line, displayed in by one atom. So it come out, hey, electron cannot be only orbiting in one location. It has to be jumping or at several different discrete orbits. So that's what they call the electron shell is. Try to describe a shell that's a different orbit located. Use called different energy level. So developed. I have a picture. I don't think normal people would understand what that means. And also within each shell, electron location we don't know, based on quantum mechanics, right? We only try to predict the probability of not the electron, has to be electron cloud, where the most appear location. It never show you the trajectory, never tell you the position, of electron. It's a completely field theory in terms of explanation of chemistry.
Right. Are you going to redraw the elemental? Are you going to give us your version of the periodic table?
We're going to have a new periodic table. It's called a structured periodic table. Instead of this is called chemical chemistry, called what is that? Electron-based periodic.
Wow, you heard it here, folks. Breaking news. We're going to have a new periodic table.
Yes.
How about, is your periodic table going to be similar to Walter Russell's periodic table?
I do not know Walter Russell's work. I do not know. But I don't want to know anybody until I finish my thing. I don't want it to be.
You don't want to be contaminated. Yeah, you don't want to be influenced.
Yeah. If you want to have a creative work,
this is your mind is like in the jury isolation. Remember, your jury decides on a decision. They try to isolate the jury from reading news or blog posts. So to not be influenced. So to not be influenced by popular opinion or expert opinion to sway them one way or another.
Oh wow!
Of course, you can't do that perfectly, right? You've been exposed to ideas already, but
But does help.
Why are some reactions energetically favorable in your view?
People asking, why Uon, everything's in motion, right? How can the Uon form particles, form big objects, right? Everything we're talking about. So then it requires slowing down the energy, slowing down flow, traveling energy, and then becomes almost quite static, quasi-static. So then the gravitation, no, I'm sorry, the magnetic force start kicking in, can't hold them together.
How does your model explain ionization?
Oh, so-called ionization is turn neutral particle, okay, to a charged particle. So how do you do it? If you have any neutral particles, you just rub it. Then you find that they start to carry charge, right? Just expose, just called unfolding the called neutralized particle, unfolding them become the locally charged, means locally magnetic pole exposed.
So does it result in a charge state due to the field asymmetry rather than an electron loss?
Oh,
is that a way to say it?
Loss. There's no particle loss whatsoever.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is it Uon field asymmetry that makes it ionized?
Not the exact called asymmetry, but just expose at both the locally one pole. The other pole attract the object, right? One pole exposed. So then you feel like, oh, this is a positive charge, right? So you feel like attract that one. But it's only localized phenomenon. Globally, every object. If you have a global north, you should have a global south simultaneously.
Yeah. Is what is an isotope in the Uon model of chemistry?
Oh, the so-called isotope means if you already have a charged neutral particle, saturated means you no longer need any additional particles to keep it stable, right? So all the elements listed in the periodic table are particular geometry and in a stabilized form. So so-called isotope means we do not change the basic structure. However, on top we have extra neutrons. So you have additional particles there. You know what happens? Number one, even though globally the original base structure is neutralized, is neutral. However, at a local point, it is made by the magnetic particles in each point, right? So in the local point, you could still have particles attached on the surface called extra particles attached on the surface, but these particles are not stable. So whenever in motion, like nuclear reaction, these kind of isotopes easily to separate. Yeah, so that's why, and this
So they're
isotope
charged.
separated.
These are charged particles, right?
Oh no, isotope. No, normally it will say the isotopes are neutron, extra
Okay.
neutrons. But you could have extra, neutron and the and the
But
proton. Only
but
different by slightly,
but you
right?
don't believe in protons and neutrons. They don't exist, right?
Right. They
So
do
what
not.
in your view, what is in the Uon model of chemistry? What's going on with the isotope? What is it? It's not made up of neutrons, right? What is it made up of?
Oh, just another additional particles attach on, an additional magnetic particles attach on that. Yeah.
Are they attached in a certain way that makes them structurally different than ions?
Oh, yeah, sure. Ion means you have an actual global magnetic pole, global north and south. That's ion. But if you attached additional called neutron particles, neutral particles, right? Then you may not change in global magnetic
So
north
you
and
do
south.
have neutral particles in Uon chemistry, but it's an amalgamation of bipolar particles in a neutral structure, like you mentioned earlier.
Yes, you are right. So the so-called the neutral particle is basically all made by magnetic particle. So in terms of chemistry, I want to say we need to discard the chemistry called the electron-based chemistry entirely. There's no any place to keep any part of it.
Yeah.
So then replaced by what? There is no shared electron. There is no electron called ionic bond. So electron being pulled by the other part of the exchange particles, and then none of them correct. So now, if you replace with Uon theory, everything is a magnetic particle. Magnetic particle naturally connected to each other. So that's why you can make called a structured periodic table just based on how many magnetic particles you have. If you have one, becomes hydrogen. If you have two, becomes helium's nucleus. If you have three, could be a triangular shape. It's all based on geometric shape. You can by the combination, different combination, you can assemble the periodic table infinitely.
Wow. So infinite elements await.
Infinite elements. Yeah. If you try to believe, because different structure give you
What
different
would
function.
those infinite elements look like, and what could they be of value to humans?
Oh, normally we like have a stable structure, like a triangular tetrahedral shape. So
Yeah,
yeah, right, right? We like a different kind of shapes, right?
yeah,
Some shape are very stable, you want it, but some shapes, just like if you wanted like uranium, you want some radioactive materials. So that materials you have to have what is it? It's a very unstable. So that's why it's called radioactive material. It can spontaneously discharge, right? Can throw particles away, and that's one could be energetic, to create what is it? I don't think a weapon, but you can add this make a medical use, right? Radioactive materials can help you
So all
detect.
those infinite unstable, all those infinite elements are all going to be unstable pretty much. Just, in terms of what we understand.
That's right. Only the basic shape stable.
Yeah.
If you have anything more than that basic shape, you will be unstable.
How do catalysts work if reactions aren't electron based?
Oh, electron aren't. Oh, catalysts just say you want so-called catalyst is some how you want to break some bindings. For example, so the so-called catalyst catalysts try to facilitate called a chemical reaction. Facilitate just say break this one and then become charged and then they form a new substance, right?
Right.
So you want to have them break,
Yeah.
but you do not have enough energy. So what happens is you put a catalyst. Catalyst is a different type of magnetic particles. So when you have a tablet, so basically just like sometimes you put the water in it. Water could serve as a catalyst, right? Can weaken their bonding and make them break. And then once you make them break, they become charged particle. What happens? They are not gonna attract water particles. So what happens? It will find another charged particle from a different you remember different size, different number of particles. You form different elements. You have different molecules, different substances.
Yeah.
So catalyst is just like water here, can weaken their bonding, and then when separated, they connect with other, form the other bond, and the water come back together. Water does not even losing any weight, right?
Wow.
Something just like that. Help you to facilitate called reaction, so the separation and the rebinding. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
I know this is not a simple concept because in chemistry you would not get this kind of explanation in terms. It's not like electrons shell how electrons shell have been influenced by something else. It's totally different.
Wow. Let's ask. I want to ask this question in the chemistry section of my questions today. What chemical anomalies does Uon theory explain better than current chemistry rooted on the standard model as it is?
One thing is the standard model does not explain any chemical phenomena with any mechanism. It's all based on the hypothetical or metaphor. There's no mechanism to it. So that's why quantum mechanics does not even help chemists. You only heard the chemists in impeding chemistry and biology development. So that's detrimental. You might see you mentioned about it the other day on the video. I was feels like anger talking about how chemists and the physics and the biology the principle being totally based on the nonsense. So that's why nobody even wanted to share their knowledge because I said they knew that knowledge does not make sense to every chemist, to even to biology professors. So how can they share something that does not even make sense to them? I want to, I believe I want to apologize the language I was using last time. I probably talking about too general. That's how my thinking is. Always like to generalize. So I may criticize. Sounds like I'm criticizing chemists and biology. Actually, not. I have highly respect to them. The problem is the physicist. Supply is the wrong model. Entire misled the entire scientific field. So I feel angry. It's not because of the hard working, biologists and chemists. They are my allies. They are my friends, and we're supporting each other.
Yeah. Well, now that you brought up biology, let's get into some of the basic questions about biology that Uon theory can help us understand. And I first wanted to start by asking some questions that would be of interest to folks who are fans of the late biologist Dr. Ray Peat, who frequented my program. The first question has to do with energy transfer in cells. Doctor, you define with your Uon theory, you redefine electromagnetic interactions at a fundamental level. In biology, energy transfer within cells, such as ATP's role or mitochondrial function,
Yes,
relies on precise molecular interactions. How might,
exactly.
how might the Uon particle's properties reshape our understanding of how energy is generated and utilized in cellular processes, particularly in the context of oxidative phosphorylation?
Okay. So basically, at a cell level, protein level, all the proteins is actually the robots. But you think of a robots has to have a power. Who's powering those robots, right? That's called a magnetic electromagnetic motor. That's what every single particle is a magnetic particle, and they forming. And as long as you have a oscillation of magnetic particle, you generate the electricity, right? So that's where the power is. So at a macroscopical, macro, at a macro. So we are human complex human beings. At the microscopic, you can single function, just like it becomes oscillation, like an electrical motor. So that's why so all the motions, all the powers is due to the oscillation of magnetic field. And where comes this oscillation? Sunlight or chemical reaction. Sunlight is an electromagnetic wave, right? Create external disturbance. So that's why it's created energy.
Yeah.
And that energy resonant with your fundamental particles, create a resonant, and so you can forming those kind of robots, create a one just like a pump, can pump something out but not allow it in, and to transport from one place to another place and carry things with you. How they carry? Of course, use magnetic force, right? They do not use hands to grab them, right? Yeah.
Um, you've discussed how Uon theory accounts for electromagnetic phenomena differently than classical physics. Gilbert Ling's work suggests cells lack a traditional lipid bilayer and operate as a magnetic gel-like matrix.
Oh,
Could the
that's
U
good.
could the Uon's interactions with cellular components like water or proteins provide a physical basis for Ling's model, particularly in how cells maintain their energetic coherence?
Fundamental principles. If he met, this is called a magnetic field.
Yeah, he said he does not believe that there's a traditional cellular membrane, like in
Oh, okay.
traditional that basically cells are like little bags with water inside. He thinks that they're actually magnetic gel. They're
Wow.
they're they're magnetically polarized like a little gel.
I pay respect to him.
Yeah.
So whoever can see, this is a
He
deepest
was the one
level.
that he's the one that went on to help create the MRI technology.
Oh, okay.
Gilbert
I didn't
Ling.
know. Or that so that's why.
Yeah.
Ashton and Forbes, my friend, he has a question on me for me this Friday. So about the MRI principles.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
Gilbert Ling's principles are he's the one that helped create that technology.
oh, okay.
Sites.
Yeah.
He believed his theory argues that intracellular water is polarized and oriented and thus dynamically structured. That fits well with your model, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Everything can be polarized.
Yeah.
So the reason they can be polarized is because everything made by dipole magnets.
Yeah.
I call the Uons. Okay.
Let's talk about electromagnetic influence on hormones.
Hormone.
Hormones.
Okay.
You know what hormone?
Uh, I'm not a medical doctor, right?
Yeah.
So hormone to me, if anything has a strong impact to human behavior, right? Hormone levels, it must be highly magnetized, highly strong, has a stronger magnetic field.
Water's role in biology. Gerald Pollack's work on exclusion zone water aligns with my views on the gel-like cytosol. Your Uon theory seems to offer a new lens on how light and electromagnetic fields interact with matter. Could Uons explain the structuring of water in cells, particularly how it contributes to the energetic properties of the cytosol or supports enzymatic function?
I can only talking about the in principle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. In principle, the field, it has to be coherent from all the structure. Yeah, so it's all influenced by.
In your discussions, you've mentioned resonance as a key phenomenon in Uon theory, affecting everything from antibiotics to consciousness. How might resonance at the Uon level influence biological processes like protein folding, enzyme kinetics, or even intercellular communication? And could this explain why certain frequencies, such as classical music, seem to benefit living systems?
Yes. All the energy exchange, right, through vibration. And the vibration can influence, but vibration create the propagation. Vibration is disturbance locally, right? Propagation through the Uon field. So that's where influence goes away. In order to have the biggest impact, so this influence has to be exactly create a resonance on the receiving end. So
Right.
that's why when they resonate with you, they receive the message. If they are not resonant with you, they just do not even aware your existence. So I do believe resonance is a very, very important phenomenon. And in order for people to be influenced, it has to have same frequency, same channel, basically, right? Similar biological or the magnetical structured.
Challenging biochemical dogma. I've long questioned mainstream views like the rigid cell membrane model or the oversimplified role of ATP. Your Uon theory challenges foundational physics. In chemistry, how might Uons redefine our understanding of molecular bonds or reaction rates, particularly in metabolic pathways where energy efficiency is critical, like glycolysis or the Krebs cycle?
I just give you a general principle answer, because it's all interactions through magnetic force, right? So that's all the bondings through force. Of course, you can influence them through magnetic interactions from environment or from external force or through vibration, create the internal oscillation and vibration can create a resonance, can break particles apart, right? So
Consciousness and cellular energy. You've explored consciousness as potentially tied to Uon interactions in the universe. In my view, consciousness relates to the energetic state of cells, particularly brain cells under thyroid influence. How could Uon mediated electromagnetic fields contribute to the energetic coherence required for consciousness? And might this connect to metabolic rate at the cellular level? That's interesting.
yeah, every single consciousness itself is sensing through magnetic field, through magnetic force. So that's a fundamental origin of consciousness. Is based on the you can sensing something yourself, and you can sensing environment. You can sensing what it called the subjective experiences, that's identity or something, right? Remain that one. It's all through magnetic field mechanism.
Elemental transmutation in biology. Your theory touches on the possibility of elemental transmutation, which is radical in physics. In biology, trace elements like magnesium or selenium are
Yeah.
critical for enzyme function. Could Uon interactions facilitate low energy transmutation in living systems? If so, how might this impact our understanding of nutrient metabolism or deficiency? That's a good question.
Energy is not a problem. Energy could be talking about from chemical reaction, from light, from lightning, but the intrinsic structure has to be aligned with the magnetic structures orientation uh, in general.
So we'll leave it there. Any last thoughts about chemistry and summarizing why Uon theory matters for informing us about the truth of chemistry and what chemistry can benefit from?
Oh, it can unleash all the people work in the laboratories. Forget about those what is it called? Those abstract mathematical concept of metaphysics or metaphor sort type of concept. Do experiment. Try just trade every single proton, neutron, or molecules, atoms, molecules. Treat them just like magnets and see how their combination, how their geometry and help their develop the special function and help to study their properties. I believe now you have a solid theoretical background to do so, and I believe instantly people will find 10 or 10 times more new elements by doing real research, changing the geometry, changing number of particles, and you will develop a lot of new materials and new drugs, and serve for all different kind of purpose.
I want to ask you, we have a couple questions from users, if you don't mind. Bob asks for you, can we convert his theories, your Uon theory, can we convert his theories to math? Is he building anything with this knowledge? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question. Of course, I'm changing. No, first of all, I'm developing called the Uon theory of instead of called gravity. This is a generalized, electromagnetic, equation called what is the generalized equation. So include the Coulomb's law and Newton's the so-called gravity law. I combine them, and also I'm get rid of those singularities in Newton's gravity law and in Coulomb's law. They have a distance r equals 0, right? When the r equals 0, that becomes infinity. Is never mathematically is not defined. Physically does not exist. I'm getting rid of that formulation, and so did change. And also, I'm dividing a general equation of motion, try to cover everything, all the different type of motions in one in similar equation. But another significant change is I'm going to rewrite the Coulomb's law. Oh no, Ohm's law. Ohm's law never makes sense. Try to simulate the electricity flow like water in a pipe.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm going to correct the mistake made in James Clerk Maxwell's equation. I believe this is God, this is gospel in electrodynamics. But his equation does have an error. The reason I have an error is that he believe electron is a negative charge particle. So that's why he can come out of this error. But it's not going to have a significant impact. But conceptually, we have to correct those things. Newton's law has to be outdated, have to get rid of, because of Newton's law, and then created this called a missing mass.
And Galileo, don't you have something to change? Energy. Did Galileo have a law?
Oh, Galileo, so far, Galileo's law, Newton's first law of motion. So that's the inertia, law of inertia. That's actually the Galileo's law. That law has to be explained with condition. Yeah. Wow.
Boy, you're going to get Galileo in trouble again. He can't catch a break.
Oh, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
Besides, I thought that, Newton think he's standing on the shoulder of giants. The number one will be Galileo. Yeah, which I do believe that one.
And you've got to go up against Democritus too, don't you? You got to get rid of his.
Oh yes, he's the what is it? I would kind of call it the father of this rigid, indivisible atom.
Yeah.
Atomic model. I have high respect to him. Okay,
yeah.
Also to Galileo or to
Democritus is where we get the word for democracy, right? I think.
Oh, Democritus.
I don't know. He's named after it at least.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They at that time, so that's 2,000 years ago. You develop those science theories, that's considered genius. Not like me, after 2,000 years, I'm still right. I come up with this one, so they are smarter.
Papa Squirrely, another commenter, says, "How much does a soul weigh?" I don't know if they're being funny, if they really want to know.
Are you talking about the soul, the mental soul?
Soul, yeah, soul.
So okay, can you? I do not understand the question. Can you
I
repeat
guess he
that?
wants to know if you can weigh it. Can you measure the weight of it?
Oh, so the measure.
Yeah, I get. I
No.
think the only thing I can think about is that there's some thought that when someone dies, that they weigh less, some ounce
Oh,
or something.
yeah. The reason the weigh less. Most people think about you may loss of water, right? Yeah, sure. Of course, I believe it. But once just the second they die, they said you can detect way less. That's not because you lost of matter mass. No, because you lost strong magnetic field. When you're alive,
Right.
your head,
Mm.
north head is positive, everything grounded on the earth is negative. You have a strong biological magnetic field. That's what gravity is, right? That's what weight comes from. You
Yeah.
have a pulse. But once you lost that one, suddenly you lost the spirit. Suddenly, just like people sick. When people sick is disoriented. You strong magnetic field being distracted by the certain. You will weight differently.
Yeah.
That's my practice. That's my prediction. If you do not believe me, you can test it.
Yeah.
A health person suddenly get sick. Did you see if he losing weight or increase weight?
Right.
Of course, it's a moment to moment matter.
Curious about how Uon. This is Ice Age Ruck on X. Curious about how Uon interacts with Dr. Emoto's work with influencing water structure and more applied using water imprinting for human and crop health.
Oh, the one thing is we call the structured water, right? The water has a charge. That's exactly demonstrated. The water molecules are magnetic particles. And I also built the model to explain why the water molecules you have two so-called two hydrogen nuclear two hydrogen what is it called the protons, right? And forming with oxygen oxygen atom forming one 190 oh 100 105.9 degrees angle something. Yeah. I did the structure to explain that one. So that exactly explain every subject, especially this is fluid, this is subject, of course, they are structured, they're structured matter. So they can be, so they can form certain patterns and certain patterns. Why easy to really reflect the music? Certain harmonic music create certain vibration notes, right? So those vibration notes will create a certain pattern. The particles vibrating, and the notes will create a certain pattern,
Yeah.
harmony, and which is also benefit to human health. Anything harmony with biological life, you benefit to human life. So I do believe called the structured water, and it's healthier. It can retain your water content in your body longer. So that's why keep you healthier, keep
Hmm.
your thinking. Those water molecules in your body is conducting materials, right? So then you can quickly thinking or reduce, all the energy displayed into entire body. So that's keep you healthy. Right? So structured water do have a lot of health benefit.
Yeah. Well, one last question for today from listeners Thomas Phillips. Would it be possible for Dr. Yu to describe some starting points for people who might be interested in his ideas and how they could be applied to the generation of energy, but don't necessarily have a background or education in science? Maybe a book or video series.
Short answer: the book is coming, and the video we have a lot of outreach videos available on your website, aneighborschoice.com. Yeah.
Right.
If you look find this gentleman, he has all the past videos from what is it from 10 years ago up to now. You'll find that one. And the one thing, that's what I do. Try to explain people do NASA outreach to from 3 years old all the to 90 years old. And so
I guess he's
if you
particularly
say,
asking, he wants to know particularly in the application of energy production.
oh,
I
and
think, yeah,
of
we've
course,
done a lot
energy
of
production.
episodes on that, but not not like a dedicated video series, which,
Oh,
maybe something we could do down the road, right?
oh yeah, sure. Actually, David, already had several projects work on several years, and of course, I do believe it is called the cold low energy nuclear reaction. We can make that device work, and without needing a chemical resource, fighting chemical resources.
And one of the things that Dr. Yu predicted before we even found its existence was a 24/7 energy panel. We now have that. So, those are things that,
Amazing.
from first principles, that's the importance of getting the first principles correct. So, these things need to be put in a systematic format for people to learn from. So, again, you can follow Dr. Yu at Real Dr. Yu on X, right? And you can also, as he mentioned, go to our website, aneighborschoice.com, click on Science and You, and you'll see our entire catalog of episodes and a documentary that we did introducing the Uon Theory, as well as episodes about various topics and various guests along the way who have joined us in this scientific journey of discovery. We are watching history unfold in real time, folks, because there's never been a show that has helped to facilitate and birth a theory of everything in real time for several years, except for A Neighbor's Choice. So, we have done some historic work here, folks, and there's a lot to come. What you see on the show is the tip of the iceberg of what's to come. So just hang on tight, and we appreciate your comments. And whichever platform you're watching this on, drop us comments, more questions. We'll try to do a little bit more Q&A with Dr. Yu from you guys, as well as the questions that I pepper them with on my own. But drop a comment or email us hello@aneighborschoice.com. I'm David Gornoski. Godspeed.
So